Good morning, students. This is Latif sir, and today I'm going to start the first chapter of class 8 chemistry. The topic is matter. The topic is matter. So, first, you have to know what is matter. You have already studied in class 7 about matter, and you know that anything that has mass and occupies space is called matter. Anything that has mass and occupies space is called matter. And everything around us is a matter. For example, table, rock, water, smoke, air, milk. Everything around us is a matter. Now say state of matter. Mainly matter can exist in three states: solid, liquid, and gas. Solid, liquid, and gas. These are main three state of matter. Two more state of matter are there. It is given in this box. Huh. Two more state of matter. One is plasma, another is Bose-Einstein condensate. These are two more state of matter: plasma and Bose-Einstein condensate. Okay. So among this five state of matter, however, the most common state of matter are solid, liquid, and gases. Okay. Now see comparison of properties of solid, liquids, and gases. First point, shape. Solid have a definite shape. Solid have a definite shape. Liquid do not have a definite shape. Liquid do not have a definite shape. They take the shape of the container. And gases, they do not have a definite shape. So only solids have a definite shape. Next point, volume. Solid have a definite volume like shape. Solids they have a definite volume, but liquid liquids have a definite volume, and gases do not have a definite volume. They occupy the entire space available to them. Okay, so solid have a definite volume, liquids have a definite volume, but gases do not have a definite volume. They occupy the entire space available to them. Next point, density. Solids are the densest. Solids are the densest, and liquids are less dense, and gases are least dense. So gaseous states of matter are the least dense. Okay, and solid state are the densest. Next point, fluidity. Fluidity. Okay, so fluidity, solid cannot flow, liquids can flow downwards, and gases can flow in any direction. Liquid can flow only in one direction, in downward direction always, and gases can flow in any direction. Next point, rigidity. Highly rigid. Solids are highly rigid, liquids are less rigid, and gases are not rigid. Next point, compressibility. Next point, compressibility. Solid cannot be compressed, liquid can be negligibly compressed, and gases are highly compressed. Gases are highly compressible. Okay, solids cannot be compressed while gases are highly compressible. Now, one point is given of their ability to flow. Because of their ability to flow, you know that solid and liquid can flow. So, solid and liquid together are called fluids because they can flow. Okay. Now, see kinetic molecular theory of matter. Kinetic molecular theory of matter. Kinetic molecular theory of matter. Ever wondered why matter exists in different state and why it behaves so differently in different state? To answer this question, you have to study on kinetic molecular theory of matter. Okay, so the kinetic molecular theory of matter provides explanation to the various questions related to the states, characteristic, and behavior of matter. The kinetic molecular theory, the kinetic molecular theory, the kinetic molecular theory of matter provides explanations to the various questions related to state, characteristic, and behavior of matter. Okay, so see here it is given. The kinetic molecular theory of matter states that matter is composed of a large number of teeny particles. Kinetic molecular theory of matter states that matter is composed of large number of very teeny particles which are constantly in motion and are separated from each other by a definite distance. State of matter. The kinetic molecular theory of matter states that matter is composed of large number of teeny particles which are constantly in motion and separated from each other by a definite distance. And these teeny particles are atoms and molecules. Okay, so an atoms, you know that what is atom. An atom is defined as the smallest unit of matter. Atom is the smallest unit of matter that can take part in chemical reaction, and it may or may not exist independently. You have already studied in class 7 about matter, about atom molecules. Okay, so so an atom is defined as the smallest unit, smallest part of matter. An atom can take part in a chemical reaction, and it may or may not exist independently, while while molecules while molecules are the smallest unit of matter. Molecules are also smallest unit of matter capable of independent existence. It is the difference between atom and molecule. Molecule can exist independently, while atom may or may not exist independently. Okay, like atom, molecules are also smallest unit of matter and capable of independent existence. Okay, so at according to kinetic theory, kinetic molecular theory, matter can exist in three different states. Okay, according to kinetic molecular theory, matter is composed of large number of particles, teeny particles. According to kinetic molecular theory of matter, matter is composed of large number of teeny particles which are constantly in motion, and these teeny particles are atoms and molecules. And atoms is the smallest unit of matter that can take part in chemical reaction, and it may or may not exist independently, while molecules are smallest unit of matter capable of independent exist. Okay, now see postulates of kinetic molecular theory. Postulates of kinetic molecular theory. The kinetic molecular theory of matter makes the following assumptions called postulates. Okay, so first postulates, see, the first postulates of kinetic molecular theory. I have already told this point. Matter is composed of a large number of teeny particles. And these particles, that is atoms and molecules of any given type of matter, are identical in all respect and exhibit all its properties. According to kinetic molecular theory of matter, matter is composed of a very large number of tiny particles, and particles, that is atom molecules, of any given type of matter are identical in all respect and exhibit all its properties. And these particles do not visible with unaided eyes because they are microscopic. Okay. Second point, Second point, between the particle of matter, between the particle of matter, there exist vacant spaces which is called interparticle space. Interparticle space between the particles of matter, there exist vacant spaces which are called interparticle space, and the interparticles and the particles of matter attract each other through a force of attraction which is called interparticle force. Okay, so between the particles of matter there exists interparticle space and force of attraction which is also known as interparticle force. Okay, and interparticle forces are maximum. Interparticle, this point is given here, the interparticle forces are maximum in solid state and minimum, that is least, in gaseous state. Interparticle force of attraction is maximum in solid state and least in gaseous state. Hence interparticle spaces are the least in solid state and maximum in gaseous state. Okay, so interparticle forces are maximum in solid state and least in gaseous state, and interparticle spaces are least in solid state and maximum in gaseous state. In fact, the particles of solid are tightly packed, very tightly packed, they are very closely packed, and this explains the rigidity of solid high rigidity of this state of matter, that is solid state. In solid state, particles are very closely packed, they are very tightly packed. That's why solid state are highly rigid. Next point, particles of matter are always in random motion and possess some kinetic energy. Particles of matter are always in random motion. Okay. And it may come as a surprise to know that even the tightly bound particles of solid are in motion. They vibrate to and fro about their fixed position. However, the particles of liquid are more free to move, and those of gases are the most free to move about. Okay, so uh, particles of solid state of matter, they can only vibrate, okay, about their fixed position. They can only vibrate. However, particles of liquid and gases, they can move. Okay? They are free to move. So, according to kinetic theory, particles. According to kinetic theory, particles is the least in kinetic. According to kinetic molecular theory, the kinetic energy of particle in solid state is least in solid state and maximum in gases. Okay, kinetic energy of particles is least in solid state and maximum in gaseous state. The average kinetic energy of all particles gives the measure of the temperature of matter. Average kinetic energy of all the particles gives the measure of the temperature of the matter. As the particles are moving randomly, they keep colliding with each other, and the collision between the particles is known as interparticle collision. The collision between the particles, as the particles of gases and liquid are always in random motion, they collide with each other, and this collision is known as interparticle collision. These collisions result in exchange of their energy between the colliding particles. However, there is no overall loss or gain of energy during the collisions. That is, these are elastic collisions. That is, after and before this collision, there is no change, no overall loss or gain of energy during this collision. The number of collisions the particles make with the walls of the container and the force with which they collide decided the value or magnitude of pressure exerted by the matter. You know that the particles of liquid and gases, they are always in random motion. They are colliding with each other. At the same time, they are colliding with the wall of the container. That's why they are exerted pressure on the wall of the container. And the random motion of particles observed in liquid and gases was first discovered by Scottish botanist Robert Brown. Hence, this phenomena is known as Brownian motion. The random motion of particles is known as the random motion of particles is called Brownian motion according to Robert Brown. Okay, and this Brownian motion is shown here. It is like this: the random motion of particles, this zigzag type motion of particles. Okay, this zigzag type or random motion of particles is known as Brownian motion. Okay, thank you students. Next day I will again discuss on next topic. Bye students.